Chapter 6. The next morning, Charlie took Raymond to have breakfast in a cheap restaurant near their hotel. A pretty waitress came to their table. "Good morning," she said. Raymond read the girl's name on the front of her dress. "Sally Dibbs," he said suddenly. 460192. Sally Dibbs was astonished. "How do you know my telephone number?" she asked. Charlie was also astonished. He looked at Sally and then at Raymond. "How do you know her number, Raymond?" he asked. "The telephone book," Raymond muttered. "In the hotel. The telephone book." "You read the telephone book," Charlie said. He turned to the waitress and laughed. "He remembers things," he said. Then he asked Raymond what he wanted for breakfast. "This is Tuesday," Raymond said. "Breakfast is coffee and cakes." "That's fine," Charlie said to the waitress. "We'll have coffee and cakes." The waitress went to get the food. Suddenly, an anxious expression came across Raymond's face. "Where are the toothpicks?" he asked. "We don't need toothpicks for cakes," Charlie said. Raymond shook his head from side to side. "Where are the toothpicks?" he repeated. "Where are the toothpicks?" Charlie closed his eyes and counted to 10. "All right, Raymond," he said. "I'll get you some toothpicks. But I'm also going to make a phone call. I want you to wait for me here." Charlie was on the phone. "Dr. Bruner, this is Charlie Babbitt." Dr. Bruner was silent for a second. Then he asked calmly, "Where are you, son?" "That's not important," Charlie said. "What is important is who I'm with." "You have to bring Raymond back, Mr. Babbitt," the doctor said. "Yes, I will," Charlie said. "When I get my $1.5 million, sir, all I want is my half of the money." "I can't do that, Mr. Babbitt. You know I can't." Charlie turned to watch Raymond. He wasn't at their table. Then he saw him. Raymond was looking all round the restaurant. He still did not have his toothpicks. "Bring him back, Mr. Babbitt," Dr. Bruner repeated. "Bring him back now." "I have not kidnapped him," Charlie said. This was something which worried him. Was Susanna right? Was Charlie the businessman now Charlie the criminal? "I know you haven't kidnapped him," Dr. Bruner said. "Raymond is not a prisoner at Walbrook. He's always free to leave us." Charlie breathed more easily. "But we know how to look after Raymond here," Dr. Bruner continued. "We know what he needs. You do not know anything about Raymond, Mr. Babbitt." Raymond was still looking round the restaurant for toothpicks. Charlie watched him anxiously. "I'm Raymond's brother," Charlie said into the phone, "and my lawyer says I can get custody of him. If you want Raymond back, give me my money." "It's not your money, Mr. Babbitt," the doctor was saying. Charlie was not listening. He was waving to the waitress. "Toothpicks," he shouted, and he pointed at Raymond. "He wants toothpicks." "I cannot give you what you want, Mr. Babbitt," Dr. Bruner continued. At last, Sally gave Raymond a full box of toothpicks. Raymond took the box back to their table. Charlie was getting angry. "Dr. Bruner, you've made a big mistake," he said. He put the phone down and walked over to where Raymond was sitting. "We're leaving, Raymond." Raymond stood up quickly and knocked the box of toothpicks off the table. The box fell to the floor and broke open. The toothpicks went everywhere. "Oh, Raymond!" Charlie shouted. But Raymond was looking down at the toothpicks on the floor. 82, he muttered. 82, 82, 82, toothpicks. Charlie shook his head. "Ray, there's a lot more than 82 toothpicks down there." Raymond's expression didn't change. 82, 82, 82. Of course, that's 246. Toothpicks. Charlie turned to Sally Dibbs. "How many toothpicks in the box?" he asked. The girl picked up the box and read the number off it. 250. Charlie smiled at his brother. "That was very close, Raymond," he said. "Come on, let's go. We're going to the airport. I have to go back to Los Angeles." As they walked to the door, Sally Dibbs called after them. He was right. There were 246 toothpicks on the floor. The other 4 are still in the box. At the airport, Charlie telephoned his office. The news was not good. Both the bank and the customer for the Lamborghini cars were still very unhappy. Charlie needed to get back to Los Angeles fast. Charlie picked up his bag. "Okay, Raymond," he said. "We've got to move quickly. Our plane leaves in 6 minutes. Look, there it is out there." Charlie pointed out through the window at the plane. Raymond suddenly looked very anxious. "Crash," he muttered. "That plane crashed in August. August 16th, 1987. 156 people they were all." "That was a different plane, Ray," Charlie said. "This is a beautiful plane. This one is safe." "Crash," Raymond muttered. "Crash and burn." Charlie did not know what to do. They had only 4 minutes to catch the plane. "We have to fly home, Ray," he said. "It's important. What did you think we were doing here? This is an airport. This is where they keep the planes. Come on." Charlie put his hand on Raymond's arm. Raymond put his hand to his mouth and bit it. Then he screamed and began to shake all over. For a second, Charlie just looked at his brother with an astonished expression. Then he saw that he had to calm Raymond down. "It's okay, Raymond," he said quickly. "It's okay. We'll drive to Los Angeles. It will take 3 days, but we'll drive. No planes." Raymond stopped screaming. His body stopped shaking, and slowly the anxious expression left his face. "I'm sorry, Raymond," Charlie said softly. "I'm sorry I upset you." Charlie turned and began walking out of the airport. A second later, Raymond followed him. Chapter 7. Charlie drove all through the night. He felt tired and anxious. He needed to get back to Los Angeles fast to try and save his business. He was losing time that he did not have. The next evening, they stopped at a hotel. Their room had a small bathroom. Charlie went in to have a bath. Raymond was cleaning his teeth, and his mouth was full of toothpaste. "Don't use so much toothpaste, Ray," Charlie said. But Raymond continued cleaning his teeth. Toothpaste came out of his mouth and dropped onto his shirt. "Will you stop that, Ray?" Charlie said. Raymond did not stop. "You like it, Charlie Babbitt," he muttered. Charlie shook his head. "No, I do not like it," he shouted. "You say, 'Funny Rain Man'? Funny teeth." Suddenly, Charlie stopped shouting, "Fumey Rain Man! Rain Man!" That was the name of his secret friend when he was a child. "What did you say?" he asked. "You can't say Raymond," his brother said. "You're a baby. You say Rain Man. Funny Rain Man." Charlie sat down on the side of the bath. He didn't know what to think. He was finding it difficult to breathe. You're the Rain Man?" Charlie said finally. Raymond put his hand in his pocket and pulled out an envelope. He opened the envelope and carefully took out a small photograph. Charlie took the photograph and looked at it. A young man of about 18 was looking at the camera, but not smiling. He was holding a baby in his arms. The baby was Charlie Babbitt, and the young man was Raymond Babbitt. "Daddy took the picture," Raymond said. Charlie looked at the photograph for a long time. He was astonished. He and Raymond. Charlie and Raymond. Charlie and the Rain Man. "And you lived with us then? When did you leave us?" "It was Thursday," Raymond said. "Which Thursday, Ray?" "It was snowing outside. Maria stayed with you when Daddy took me to my home. January 21st, 1965, on a Thursday. That's when our mother died." Charlie breathed softly. "Just after New Year. And you had your coat, and you waved to me from the window. Goodbye, Rain Man. Goodbye, Rain Man, on a Thursday." Suddenly Charlie remembered deep into his past. He remembered the snow, and waving to Rain Man, and later crying for Rain Man. He wanted Rain Man, but Raymond didn't come. He never came again. "I sat with that coat," Charlie said. Now he remembered his brother's 18-year-old face. "And you sang to me." For a minute, Raymond just looked at his brother. Then, very softly, he began to sing a song by the Beatles. When Raymond finished singing, Charlie moved closer to him. Then he said, "I remember I liked it when you sang to me." But Raymond was cleaning his teeth again. Charlie picked up the photograph and muttered something about how nice it was. Then he put it down on the side of the bath and turned on the water. Suddenly Raymond began to scream. "No, no, no, no!" Charlie looked up and saw a terrible expression on his brother's face. Raymond was looking down at the water. "It's burning him!" he screamed. Quickly, Charlie turned off the water. He remembered it all now. His brother giving a 2-year-old boy a bath that was too hot. Sanford Babbitt screaming, "He's burning Charlie! He's going to kill him!" That was why his father sent Raymond to Walbrook. That was the end of the relationship between Charlie and Rain Man. And poor Raymond remembered it all. "It's okay, Ray," Charlie said softly to his brother. "It's okay, man. I didn't bum. I'm fine." It was late. Raymond was sleeping on one of the 2 beds in the hotel room. Charlie lay on the other bed and smoked a cigarette. He felt very tired and very sad. He needed someone to love, someone who loved him. He needed Susanna. Charlie pulled the telephone towards him. "Hello." "Hello, it's me, Charlie," he said softly. There was no answer. I just want to hear that our relationship is not." Charlie waited for Susanna to say something. When she still did not speak, he said, "I'm frightened that it's finished between us." Finally, Susanna spoke. "Don't ask me today, Charlie. You won't like my answer. Give me some time. I'm going to get custody of Ray. I've talked to my lawyer, and he says that it is possible. Firstly, I have to take Ray to see a special doctor in Los Angeles." "Charlie, they won't give you custody of Ray," Susanna said. "Dr. Bruner has looked after him for more than 20 years. You've known him for 4 days. She didn't understand. Nobody understood his relationship with Raymond. "Can I phone you when I get back to Los Angeles?" Susanna didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. Chapter 8. The next morning, Charlie heard more bad news from the office. They were taking the Lamborghinis away. And Charlie had very little money left. He was paying for everything with his American Express card. Charlie and Ray sat together in the hotel restaurant. At the next table, there was a group of 20 businessmen. They were finishing their meal and asked the waitress for the bill. Raymond looked over at the table. It was full of plates and cups and different bits of food. "Of course, that bill is $93.40, Raymond said. Charlie laughed. "How can you know that, Ray?" $93.40, Raymond repeated. The waitress returned with the bill. Charlie read over her shoulder. The bill was for $93.40. "How do you do it, Ray?" Charlie asked. "You can remember every number in a phone book. You can count 200 toothpicks in under a second. You're like a computer." "Today is Thursday," Raymond said. "Thursday is coffee and cakes, same as Tuesday." Charlie looked at his brother. Suddenly he had an idea. A really great idea to end all his money problems. "Raymond," he asked his brother, "have you ever played cards?" The next day they arrived in Las Vegas. Charlie bought new suits for Raymond and himself. He also bought Raymond a television the size of a small clock. Then he showed his brother how to play cards. "Do you understand how to play now, Raymond?" "I count cards," said Raymond. "Yes, but you must never say that." They went into the Golden Casino at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They sat down at one of the card tables. 5 hours later, they got up from the card table. Charlie was very, very tired, but very happy. He smiled at his brother. "Raymond, you have won us $90,000. Raymond did not look up from the television he now carried everywhere in his hand. $89,756, he said. And that was only in one visit. "You're going to make us rich, Ray," Charlie said. Raymond looked from his television to his watch. 8 minutes to bedtime, he said. 8 minutes. Charlie smiled. Raymond was still Raymond. "Ray, we're going to stay in the best room in the hotel here," he said. "Tomorrow we're going to come down and enjoy ourselves. Perhaps we'll find you a girl." Raymond was watching his television again. "A girl," he repeated. "Yes, why not?" But first Charlie needed a hot bath and a good night's sleep, and he needed to talk to Susanna again. There was a knock on the door. Charlie opened it. "Susanna!" Charlie put his arms round the girl that he loved and kissed her. "Ray, Susanna's here." "How did you know we were here?" Charlie asked her. Susanna spoke softly. "They told me at the office," she said. "I'm sorry they took the cars away." "Oh, don't worry about that," Charlie said happily. "We have some news to tell you. Ray, tell Susanna what we've done." "We played cards," Raymond said. "I counted cards and we won money." "What?" Susanna asked. "It's a long story," Charlie said, pulling Susanna towards the bedroom. "We'll talk about it later." Raymond knocked on the bedroom door. "Come in," Charlie called. Raymond opened the door and stood there with his little television in his hand. 6 minutes until I find a girl to dance with," Raymond said. "You said 10 o'clock. "A girl?" Susanna asked. Charlie was getting out of bed. "I taught him to dance. Now, we're going to try to find him a girl to dance with." 5 minutes, Raymond said. They walked round the Golden Casino for an hour. It was very difficult to find a girl for Raymond to dance with. To other people, Raymond seemed strange. Charlie pointed to one of the tables. "This is where we played cards," he said. Suddenly, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around to see two big men in suits. "Mr. Babbitt?" "Yes?" "The boss wants to see you, please," one of the men said. He did not smile, and Charlie guessed that there was a problem. Charlie turned to Susanna. "Can you take Raymond back to our hotel room?" "Of course," Susanna said. Susanna and Raymond took the lift back to their room. Raymond was watching a film with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers on his little TV. In the lift, Susanna looked at Raymond and felt sad for him. "Raymond, have you ever danced with a girl before?" she asked. "I've danced with Charlie Babbitt," Raymond said. "One time, with Charlie Babbitt." He did not look up from his TV. The music from the dancing below came into the lift. "I like this music," Susanna said softly. "Do you want to dance with me, Raymond?" Susanna stopped the lift between two floors. She moved closer to Raymond and took his hand in hers. They started to dance inside the lift. Raymond watched his television over Susanna's shoulder. The song came to an end. Susanna started the lift again. "The other girls have missed a beautiful dance," she said. Later, Charlie came up to the room. He looked very tired. "We have to leave here tomorrow," he said. "They won't let us play cards here again." "Why not?" Susanna asked. "Because we won," said Charlie. "And they don't like people winning. I guess Raymond was too good for them." Chapter 9. They left Las Vegas the next morning and drove back to Los Angeles. Susanna sat next to Charlie in the front of the Buick. Raymond sat in the back of the car and watched another film on his TV. Sometimes he looked out at the desert they were driving through. Once Raymond drove the car for a few minutes. The road was empty, so there was no danger. "I'm a very good driver," Raymond said. Susanna got out at her flat in Santa Monica. Charlie and Raymond drove on to Charlie's house in Los Angeles. There was a letter waiting for Charlie. It was from Dr. Bruner. "I'm staying here in Los Angeles at the Hotel California," the letter said. "Please come and see me. I think we need to talk." That night, Charlie went to see Dr. Bruner at his hotel. "Mr. Babbitt, I want to stop playing games," Dr. Bruner said. "My lawyer is talking to your lawyer. He is explaining to him the facts. Raymond will see a special doctor on Friday. This doctor will decide who gets custody of Raymond, and you are going to lose." "I think that is for the doctor to decide," Charlie said. "But I have helped Raymond more in 1 week than you have in 20 years. "You think you have helped Raymond," Dr. Bruner said. "But Raymond is still autistic. He will always be autistic. Neither you nor I can change that fact." Charlie turned to go. "I'll see you on Friday, Dr. Bruner." "Don't you understand, Charlie?" Dr. Bruner called. "Even if they give you custody of Raymond, you will not get your father's money. I don't have to pay you anything." "Goodbye, Dr. Bruner," Charlie said, walking away. Dr. Bruner called after him. "I'll give you $250,000 to have Raymond back now." Charlie stopped walking and turned round to face the doctor. He shook his head. "I don't want your money, Dr. Bruner," he said. "I want my brother." Friday came. Dr. Marston sat at his desk. Next to him was Dr. Bruner. In front of him were Charlie and Raymond. The two brothers were both wearing suits. "There's no easy way to say this, Mr. Babbitt," Dr. Marston began. He did not need to continue. Charlie understood. "You're sending Raymond back to Walbrook," he said. They can look after him there, Dr. Marston said. They understand Raymond's problems. But Raymond has changed, Charlie said angrily. He has only been 7 days with me, and already he is getting better. And you don't like that. Dr. Marston and Dr. Brunner sat silently for a minute. Then Dr. Brunner turned to Raymond. How was your holiday, Raymond? Tell me what you did. Raymond held his little TV to his heart. I played cards, he said, with Charlie Babbitt, and I drove Daddy's car. Dr. Brunner laughed. You drove a car, Raymond? It was on a quiet road, Charlie said. And I danced with Susanna, Raymond said. Even Charlie was surprised at this. Dr. Brunner took a pen from his pocket and wrote something down in a notebook. Then he turned to Raymond. Do you want to stay with Charlie, Raymond? He asked. I want to stay with Charlie Babbitt, Raymond said. You see, Charlie said, Raymond wants to stay with me. But Dr. Brunner did not look at Charlie. He looked at Raymond. Do you want to go back to Walbrook, Raymond? I want to go back to Walbrook. Dr. Brunner wrote again in his notebook. Dr. Marston also wrote something down. But what do you want to do, Raymond? Dr. Brunner asked again. Do you want to stay with Charlie, or do you want to go back to Walbrook? Raymond was now breathing very deeply. He shook his head from side to side and moved uncomfortably in his chair. Walbrook. Charlie Babbitt. Walbrook. Charlie Babbitt, he muttered. Charlie jumped out of his chair. Stop asking him all these questions, he shouted. You're upsetting him. Now Dr. Brunner looked at Charlie. I'm showing you that Raymond is still autistic, Charlie, he said calmly. Charlie sat down and put his head in his hands. He saw that they would never give him custody of Raymond. Perhaps they were right. Perhaps they did know how to look after Raymond at Walbrook, but Charlie gave Raymond something they could not give him at Walbrook. Charlie gave Raymond love, and Raymond, in his way, gave Charlie love. All Charlie wanted was the best for Raymond. Charlie wasn't the loser. Raymond was the winner. Ray, they want you to go back to Walbrook, Charlie said slowly to his brother. He looked up at the two doctors. Can I visit him? Dr. Marston turned to Dr. Brunner for an answer. Of course, Dr. Brunner answered. We would like you to. Raymond took out his photograph. It was a lovely picture of the 18-year-old Raymond and the 2-year-old Charlie. Rain Man and Charlie. Brothers. Raymond handed the photograph to Charlie. Charlie began to cry softly. Are you all right, son? Dr. Brunner asked. Charlie looked up and smiled. Then he turned to his brother. I'll come to see you, Ray, he said, and you can drive Dad's car when I visit. I'm a very good driver, Raymond said.